Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back. Kellen here again with Droid Life. Today we're talking about a phone that we're going to be talking about for a long time to come. The Samsung Galaxy S8. Now, before we go any further though, just know there's a full written review on this with all those dirty details you love so much, and you'll find that just below that like button. So yeah, Samsung Galaxy S8 is out. You can buy it now. It's already selling like crazy. And of course, this comes on the heels of the Note 7 debacle from last year. Yet it certainly seems like Samsung hardly hesitated and put forth one of the most premium, wildest designs of any phone we've seen. And seriously, this design sort of puts everyone else to shame. But does that make it the most future-proof or most excellent smartphone you can still buy? Let's talk about that. This is our Galaxy S8 review. To recap the Galaxy S8 and S8 Plus, you've got a Snapdragon 835 processor on the inside, 12 megapixel dual pixel camera on the back, 8 megapixel shooter up front, 64 gig storage with SD slot, fingerprint reader on the back here, IP68 dust and water resistance, an iris scanner, USB Type-C port on the bottom, fast wired and wireless charging, and Android Nougat with Samsung's Experience software on top. You've also got a 3000 milliamp hour embedded battery in the regular S8 and a 3500 milliamp hour battery in the S8 Plus. But as much as that stuff matters, just stop for a second and look at this thing. Just look at the display and the design here. The display situation here is just nuts. On the S8, you have a 5.8-inch Infinity Quad HD AMOLED display, and the S8 Plus has a 6.2-inch version. There are no other phones on the planet that give you an experience like this. Because they're edge-to-edge all around, Samsung was able to give you the biggest displays possible without giving you massive phones. You could go either S8 or S8 Plus and not feel overwhelmed by the size. The S8 actually reminds me of the regular Google Pixel, except its display is 0.8 inches bigger. In other words, you get a display larger than the Note 7s or V20s, yet in a package the size of the smallest Pixel. Those of us who hate giant phones yet want a giant display now actually have choices. As for the in-the-box stuff, Samsung is giving you a fast charger, a couple of adapters, and some Samsung earbuds that have been tuned by AKG, a Harman company that Samsung now owns. For in-box earbuds, they actually sound pretty good. Of course, that's all cool and all, but still, that doesn't answer whether or not you should buy the S8 or S8 Plus. So let's talk about the good stuff here. While I'm not just going to outright say, go buy a Galaxy S8, there's certainly a whole bunch of reasons you should consider doing so, and I'll sort of try to lay those out for you. First, and I hate to dive right back into the display, but how can you not look at this setup and get giddy as a tech enthusiast? While the LG G6 certainly has a unique look with its all-display front, Samsung just takes everything up a notch here with the curved glass on the S8 and S8 Plus. The display just floats to the top, almost as if it's some sort of liquid you can touch. You can view it from any angle, and the clarity never budges, nor does the brightness. It's bright indoors and out if you need it to be as well. Plus, Samsung lets you fully tweak the color profile of the phone to your taste. Also has a blue light filter to ease strain on your eyes, and again, is just cool to look at. Continuing on from the display, you can't help but mention the overall design of the S8 II. The curves from the top glass to the sides and back remind me of the Note 7, and that's a good thing. That means everything flows in a smooth transition, which also means the in-hand experience is almost soft, even though you are dealing with metal and glass. And of course, the home button is gone, and you have on-screen navigation buttons that can be customized. There's almost zero bezel to be seen anywhere. A headphone jack still managed to be included, and the camera housing is flusher than ever. Let's not forget about the colors available too, like this gorgeous orchid gray. This phone is very Samsung-esque while still being its own futuristically unique character. The 12 megapixel f1.7 camera here is top notch again, as are almost all Samsung cameras these days. We've done a full camera comparison that I'll link to, but the basics are this. It's one of the best, maybe even the best, depending on your eye. I'd say it's certainly the fastest I've used and is right up there with the Pixel and G6 in terms of quality. Surprised that I'm not ready to call it better than both of those? Well, again, if you look at our comparison, you'll see the S8 shines in macro and color-rich scenarios, but things can get a bit warm or yellow in others. Samsung isn't overdoing the contrast, which I appreciate, though I do hope they can clean up the color accuracy. No matter what, this camera isn't going to disappoint you on any level. It's beyond fast to load and shoots even quicker, so quick you might not even realize that it snapped a photo. You'll enjoy it, trust me. Battery life is another area that has been somewhat surprising. Maybe it's the Snapdragon 835 powering everything, or maybe Samsung has made enough behind the scenes power saving software tweaks, but I'm getting slightly better than average battery life, I'd say, in recent days. During the first few days of usage, I wasn't necessarily impressed, but I'm seeing now 3 to 4 hours of screen on time with a good 15 to 16 hours of use in a single charge. And Tim has suggested similar results on his S8 Plus, if not a little bit better. We're talking 3 to 4 hours of screen on time for him there and going to bed with 20-30% battery remaining. Is that 2-day life like on the Moto Z Play? Well, no. Is that killing the G6's battery life? No, it's actually pretty close there as well. But with this size of display and the borderline smallish batteries, it's much better than I expected, plus it only seems to be getting better the more I use it. As for the other stuff I love about the S8, I've got to point to things like the on-screen buttons that can be customized both in order and in color. I appreciate the always-on display, the option to adjust screen resolution, Bluetooth 5.0, which we haven't talked much about, the abundance of themes available, the numerous secure lock screen options, including fingerprints, face recognition, iris scanning. Also love one-handed modes, the extra editing tools you get after taking a screenshot, and the base starting point of 64 gig of storage. Let's also not forget that this phone is available everywhere and you can buy it today. All of the major carriers have it in all colors, plus unlocked versions will arrive shortly through Best Buy. And one thing you have to love about Samsung releases is the fact that you won't have any trouble ever finding one. Alright, so what's not to like? Well, not much. In fact, Samsung tried to check all of the boxes here and may have done so for the most part. So my gripes are going to be about all these little things. I don't even know that I'd categorize as deal breakers, but still, we should talk about this stuff. For one, the fingerprint reader is probably in a worse position than we initially imagined. Like, you can't ever find this thing because up next to the camera is just so awkward. I've been using the phone for an entire week and still can't find the damn thing. Plus, I don't know that it's that good of a reader. It fails to read my fingers all the time and often requires multiple tries. I've gotten to the point where I just don't use it, which is frustrating because I've spent the past few years relying on fingerprint readers. Maybe next time we'll get the fingerprint reader under the glass on the front so that we can stop hunting back here. In order to use this phone, I've had to puzzle together the ultimate setup of smart lock and face recognition and fingerprints and a pattern. It's not pretty, but it is getting the job done. There are a whole bunch of software choices that drive me nuts too. These shouldn't get you out of buying an S8, but let me try to explain it. I'm talking about trying to open a notification on the lock screen and it asking for an extra swipe. What's with the nav bar always showing light gray when the keyboard is up, even though I told it to be a different color? Why do folders sit in these huge ass empty spaces instead of growing as you add items to them? I like the swipe to get into the app drawer, but what's with the paginated horizontal app drawer? I thought those died years ago. And why does this phone skip all the time in almost any app? This has a Snapdragon 835 and 4 gig RAM. It shouldn't be skipping ever. If Motorola can make a $200 G5 Plus with a Snapdragon 625 buttery smooth, what's your excuse, Samsung? Don't get me wrong though, for the most part, the software is pretty good. It's the cleanest version of Samsung's UI to date. It's fully loaded with more features than I can show you in this short video. The new icons and navigation styling are fresh, and Samsung is still doing a nice job of giving you power user tools and simplicity. I just hope they can improve the overall performance, get rid of these hiccups, because the little UX things I mentioned probably won't change. Finally, my last complaint is about Samsung's Bixby. You probably knew this was coming, but it really is worth complaining about at the moment. Bixby is bad right now. It'll eventually get its flagship feature, which includes controlling apps by voice, but it doesn't have that at launch. Right now, it's a wannabe Google Now screen mixed with a gimmicky camera feature that helps you shop for things when it works. It's not really useful if you know about Google's solutions, especially when you consider that Google does all this stuff already, has for years, and is still doing it better. Not only that, but Samsung put a dedicated button for launching Bixby on the side of the phone. They don't want you remapping that button, and they also won't let you shut it off. So that means you can't turn the button into something truly useful until Samsung makes Bixby good, and you can't turn it off to stop it from launching with accidental presses. And trust me, accidental presses do happen, and you won't like them. Bixby could be good one day, but it's not right now, and it feels a bit gross watching Samsung ram it down our throats anyway. Alright, so the bottom line is that yes, the Galaxy S8 and S8 Plus are the best smartphones you can buy right now. They're beautiful in a way that tech typically isn't. They come with all the latest features and specs and all of that good stuff you want in your really expensive smartphone. They're also available everywhere, and they come in 2 sizes because choices are awesome. Now, the LG G6 and Google Pixel are certainly still worth considering. If you can find those phones at decent prices, you might want to jump on it. And I say that because not only are they good phones, but the S8 and S8 Plus are not cheap at $750 and $850. But still, with payment plans these days, these things are more affordable than ever. And if you're considering a Galaxy S8 or S8 Plus, you should probably just go for it.